This is Rudy Giuliani, and we're here in Dover, New Hampshire. We're going to show you some pictures of it in a little while, because today was a very, very interesting day here. The weather was very interesting, and the mallard ducks are getting ready to take off the southern climate. I don't know how long they're going to be here. They're all gathering.
Did you want to show that
property we're on? We're going to show it. We're going to show it in a little while.
The rainbow, beautiful. You should see this.
First, I want to bring up to date on Iran. I mean, with all the concentration on Ukraine, which we're going to go over also. We just covered that on the other show, but we'll cover it again in a little more detail. Iran is still, we're still awaiting an answer to whether or not they're going to negotiate. Now, you know that I don't think negotiating with them makes any sense at all, because they're a bunch of liars, and how many times are they going to lie to us and we just negotiate with them again? I think there's only one answer to this, and that is to get rid of the regime of terror. And then you'll have a pathway to peace in the Middle East. Otherwise, not going to happen. In any event, the Ayatollah, I think, has made it easier. The Ayatollah Khamenei, who probably could give both Putin and Xi Jinping a race for how many people he's killed, particularly his own people. The man has so much blood on his hands, it's absurd. And kind of gives us a sense that there are dangerous aspects to the Muslim religion that have to be dealt with, and they're not. We go through this euphemistic attempt to deal with it like we're doing people favors, and we're not. The religion has to face up to the fact that Muhammad left them with a very, very strong injunction, a very strong demand that they spread the religion by violence if necessary. And that if Jews and Christians don't convert, kill them. And then a little later in his progress, he decided in some cases you could make them dhimmis, which means second-class human beings, and they would pay tribute to the caliphate, to the Muslim overlord. But those would be only two conditions. They'd either have to convert or they'd have to submit. And if they didn't, you kill them. And you also kill them to get control over them. Even before he would go into a town, he'd kill a bunch of people, he'd take control of it the way, gosh almighty, the way MS-13 does. Or that's the real Muhammad. That's, I'm telling it to you like nobody else will. But it comes right from the Quran, and it's not even disputable. The man murdered an awful lot of people, including mass murder of Jewish people, including burying them in a joint grave, which is kind of eerie when you there are some paintings of it that are quite frightening looking, but they don't allow you to show those paintings. You can show paintings of the Blessed Mother with dung on her, or Jesus nude or whatever, but if you do it with Muhammad, the state has to take it down. It's amazing. It's amazing the double standard that we have with regard to the Islamic religion. We're afraid to deal with it honestly. Even the Pope has a problem doing it. The Catholic Church is part of the problem in this particular situation rather than part of the solution, with its pie in the sky, silly approach to the religion. It isn't just another religion like the Jewish religion, or from the point of view of Catholics and Protestant religions, or Buddhism, or it has two aspects to it, and I don't know how you separate them unless you stand up and separate them. But instead, what happens is there's an awful lot of defensiveness about the Islamicists who are very, very who fundamentally follow everything that's said. And the other Muslims may very well not do it, but they certainly are on their side. They've refused to condemn them, or at least the vast majority don't condemn them. They think it's probably better if they just keep their mouths shut. And in fact, this was the same problem I used to have when I went after the mafia with some parts of the Italian community. Even Governor Cuomo, Mario Cuomo, when I was first going after the mafia, said there is no mafia, which is, of course, absurd. It's an absurd statement. So the Ayatollah has said, this came from he said it in a public statement through the state media. I'll quote him. They want Iran to be obedient to America. The Iranian nation will stand with all of its power against those who have such erroneous expectations. And he said he will not meet. They will not meet. And that all negotiations are now off the table. I don't know what we're waiting for. All negotiations are off the table, which means he's as best he can, whatever he was able to salvage of his nuclear material or facilities or missile expansion facilities, he's using, and he's trying to reestablish them somewhere else. And the longer we wait, the more complicated it's going to be. And we have him on the ropes, and it's time to finish him off. He even defended the use of the anti-American slogans around Iran, and even inside the nation's parliament, where lawmakers shouted "Death to America." They shouted that even after there was a peace. They had big demonstrations, and first of all, they had big commotion in the parliament. Whatever their parliament is, just a bunch of toadies to the Ayatollah, or he'll kill them. But then they had tremendous stage demonstrations in the streets of Tehran, and here they're making peace with us, and we really gave them a break. I mean, they're just this is like hitting a punching bag. They have no defense. I mean, it looked like America put the whole Air Force over Iran. They just flew over, bombed them. Nobody contested it because Israel has basically taken out their whatever defensive capacity they have, and their offensive capacity is pathetic. So, I mean, they're just sitting there ready to get rid of this old bastard. And the old bastard defended the use of "death to America." This is his quote: "As the harsh reality of U.S.-Iranian relations." The harsh reality to Iran is death to America. We want to negotiate with them. What are you, crazy? No, that can't be. We got to get off that. That's got to be a posturing position for this administration. People, the Ayatollah said, people who ask us not to issue slogans against the U.S., to have direct negotiations with the U.S., only see appearances. This issue is unsolvable. Does he have to be any clearer? Could he be any clearer? This issue is unsolvable. That's the statement of the Ayatollah. And he is now saying that he's open to discussing non-proliferation with Britain and maybe France and Germany, largely because they have issued a warning that unless Tehran re-engages with the IAEA, which is the group that attempted to inspect their facilities, they are prepared to reinstate the heavy sanctions against Iran through the UN so-called snapback mechanism by the end of August. Now, that would be almost a worldwide boycott on Iran, except for, a handful of countries. It would put them into starvation mode. And they're ready to, as we said, I guess I was on the other show, but a poll was put out today or the day before saying that 80% of the Iranian people, this is 7,000 Iranians that were polled by a European group, 7,000 Iranians, 80% want to see the reign of terror and the Ayatollah out, and 63% want a non-religious government. And that is exactly what MEK is offering to them. That's part of Madame Rajavi's 10 points. And people who say that she is not a serious threat or the MEK is not serious are people who are either ignorant or are trying to help the regime. I've been telling you this for years. All you have to do is listen to the Ayatollah. The Ayatollah has said that the MEK is the only organization that he really fears could have the capacity to take over the government. Now, no matter how often you tell people that, they look at you like, because they have their own little, who knows, corrupt arrangements. Some of them want to see the Shah's son come back, which is absurd. I mean, that guy is a spoiled rich boy who hasn't done a damn thing. MEK is the organization that exposed their nuclear capacity way back in 2002. Now, just in case, and I don't know how this got out. I really do not know how this got out. This is an interview with Ali Motahari, who was a member of parliament, and actually I think was the speaker of the parliament for a period of time, up until about 2020 when he retired, and or maybe 2022. This is an interview in 2022 that was just fished out. And it is, I mean, this could be the Ayatollah telling you this too, because he's actually said all these things. But let's listen to it. There'll be a
because
a running transcript right below it. Very easy to see.
Yeah, keep an eye on the transcript because they're speaking another language.
Okay. Well, let me just repeat that last part about the MEK to you, because this is very, very important, because it is very, very hard to overcome the Iranian brainwashing. The reign of terror is brainwashing and propaganda on this. Some of it to people that know what they're doing and very much want to destroy any ability to overthrow the regime. I mean, there are major elements in our government that support the reign of terror. I mean, we were their biggest financial supporter. Nobody wants to face up to that, but the money that Obama gave to them in cash and the money that Biden released to them is more money than any country gave them. China, Russia. We were funding, under Obama, we were funding the killing of our own soldiers. Extraordinary.
Treasonous.
But if you get, of course it's treason. I mean, that's why the investigation of them for trying to take out a lawfully elected president based on fraudulent means, paying for a completely false story and perpetuating it and doing all the things that they did. That isn't the only way they committed treason. giving money to the biggest sponsor of terrorism in the world. It was a crime, a really serious crime, and one that a president can be prosecuted for. Treason is an exception. So the interviewer, when he was interviewing Motahari, was very surprised. Well, first of all, Motahari makes it clear that the whole purpose of this nuclear buildup was to have a weapon, a nuclear weapon, to defend themselves and put themselves on an equal footing with Israel and with the United States. And that's what he says. Now, of course, they have denied that throughout. They have said this was all for the peaceful use of nuclear power. All they'd have to do is enrich by less than 1% or 2%, and they'd be able to do the peaceful use of nuclear power. They're up to 60%. It's ridiculous. The missiles that the MEK discovered earlier this year and released just about a week before Israel and the United States attacked, were missiles that were designed to try to carry nuclear weapons across the Atlantic to come over here. And they were discovered in the desert that adjoins Tehran. But MEK is the organization that discovered originally back in 2002 that Iran was enriching uranium. And it was a major disclosure at the time. They then made subsequent numerous other disclosures. They also are suspected of being involved in fingering the scientists that were killed by Mossad. Don't know about the current ones. Israel seemed to have an awfully good information about where these scientists were, and Israel penetrated Iran. The Mossad had resources inside Iran, because those drones that took out specific apartments in a building were inside Iran. That wasn't sent from Israel. That was done from 2 blocks away, 1 block away. I have to believe that the MEK facilitated that, the way they facilitated back a few years ago the killing of just about all of their nuclears. They had to get all new ones. All of this is done to prevent them from having a nuclear weapon, because the Ayatollah and the people around him are, in many, many ways, completely insane. They're religiously insane. And they even try to get their people to be suicidal. This is the worst nightmare of Ronald Reagan. Nuclear assured destruction works if both sides are rational and fear the destruction of the world. If one side is a theocratic maniac, it doesn't work. Well, he's a theocratic maniac, and he's surrounded by them. So but Motahari says, and let me read this, just read it straight out. But we weren't able to keep it secret. It was exposed. The MEK gave the information and exposed it. Interviewer: how did they have this information? Through infiltrators or via some officials? Motahari: yes, the MEK, are everywhere. Sounds like a group that could overthrow the Shah. I mean, they did overthrow the Shah originally. That could overthrow the Ayatollah. Sounds like they'd be a heck of a lot more effective than the pathetic son of the Shah, who's a spoiled little rich boy who's done nothing to help the people of Iran in all the years that, except live off the stolen money of his father and mother, who stole like massive crooks the wealth of Iran. He and his administration walked out with billions and billions of dollars. Lived the life of billionaires. And this guy now wants to come back. There's even a suspicion that he wants to work with the Revolutionary Guard. He's kind of a dummy too. He said stupid things like, "Oh, I'm in contact with the Revolutionary Guard." Well, that's good. That's a terrorist organization, pal. I don't know why somebody's not investigating you or arresting you. I mean, what a jackass. The Revolutionary Guard is, he's no match for the Revolutionary Guard, believe me. I don't even think he's much of a polo player. Well, I think this makes it pretty clear. The group of analyzing and measuring attitudes in Iran, the author is Ammar Maliki. 66% say they oppose the government being ruled by religious law. And 80% of the 77,000 Iranians surveyed, and this was in June of 2024, want the Ayatollah to go. Only 11% support the Iranian Revolution of 1979. It probably wasn't much more than that. This was a very, very brilliantly orchestrated takeover by this cult regime, homicidal cult regime of the Ayatollah, and a defensible interpretation of the Muslim religion. Defensible meaning it's in the Quran. Depends on whether you want to give it credence or not, or you want to follow it or not. A lot of Muslims don't follow it, but it's there to be followed if you want to follow it. And that's why the level of violence coming out of these countries is amazing. Actually, in the Middle East, almost every country is a high-risk country for Christians, except Israel. That'll give you an idea. I mean, when we talk about how they hate and want to eliminate the Jews, they want to eliminate the Christians too. And they do a good job of it. There's a map that was put out the other day, and it's amazing. The worst countries in the world for Christians, slaughtering Christians, are few in Africa, where you have Muslim against Christian, but almost all of them are concentrated in the Middle East and every Middle Eastern country. Even the ones that are theoretically friends of ours have very, very high incidence of murdering Christians, because Muhammad taught them that Christians should be converted. And if they don't convert, you should kill them or make them submissive, make them dhimmis, they were called, and they'd have to pay tribute. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. If you could get me a little, you know what? I don't know if... Welcome back. This is Rudy Giuliani, and we're having some technical difficulties here in beautiful Dover, New Hampshire, but we'll get those straightened out, and just make sure that you send your $11 in to Tunnel to Towers, T2T.org. They're an unbelievable group. They're probably one of the greatest charitable organizations in the United States. One of the most honest and one of the most important, particularly in the building of homes for catastrophically injured warriors and law enforcement, and also taking care of all of the families of law enforcement or military that are lost in the line of duty, and now working like crazy, like so hard for the group that's neglected, and that is the veteran homeless. In fact, in New York, they were tossed out in favor of the illegal aliens by Adams, by the way, by Adams. So, which gets us to illegal aliens in general, right? Kilmar Abrego Garcia was released by a. This is completely nuts. The guy comes back to the United States, or he's forced back. A judge requires him to come back. He is a gangbanger. He's accused of human smuggling. It's on tape. I mean, accused. Okay, fine. It's on tape. There's a video, audio tape in which he's got 9 people in the car. They're all illegals. None of them even have luggage. And they're obviously part of a human trafficking ring. And that's just one of the things. He also beat the hell out of his wife several times. We have her on tape saying that. She denied it, but then she's on tape saying it. In fact, he beat her very badly. And then the whole bunch of other things. And he's a fairly high-level member of Trendy Aragua. I'm sorry, no, MS-13, I guess. No, I think that's right. Yeah, he would have to be MS-13. I'm sorry, MS-13. So, so now the United States has arranged. He can't be sent back to. He can't be sent back to his country because they say they're going to kill him. So we've arranged to send him to Uganda, which we can do. But the Democrats want to keep him. I mean, this is the guy that stupid Senator von Hoofel went down to El Salvador to bring back, so he could beat up some more women. Well, he's back, and the U.S. magistrate judge Barbara Holmes let him out, so he could travel. So he could travel from the Tennessee jail that he was in, and he could return to his family in Maryland. We want to make sure the family stays together, I guess, so she could get beaten again. You know, the family that this is a constant problem with all of these illegals. The level of domestic violence among this group that came in unvetted, not vetted at all, is ridiculous. It's much different than other groups of immigrants, both legal and illegal, that came in, because there was a great deal of control, certainly over the legal, and a lot more control over even the illegals. But Biden just let them come in without any vetting. And even when they attempted vetting, you're not going to get a criminal record from Venezuela. So we let murderers in, more than a few. And this guy was well known as a gang member there in Venezuela. But he was released from the Tennessee jail to go on his own to his home in Maryland. And now, hopefully, he's going to get picked up by ICE, and he's going to be put in confinement and sent the hell out of the United States. Otherwise, he'll maybe give the keynote address at the Democratic Convention in 2028, I guess. He's one of their heroes. But as far as we know, he hasn't murdered anybody yet. Just beat the crap out of his wife. But that's, if you're a Democrat, that's if if it frustrates Trump, it's worth supporting the wife beater. Now we have this other guy, Harjinder Singh. Harjinder Singh is 28 years old. He comes from the Punjab area of India, but he's illegal. He came in 2018, and he faces now 3 vehicular charges of vehicular homicide charges, and he faces up to 45 years in prison. And this is the guy who was driving a tractor trailer as an illegal. He got a license without ever taking an exam of any kind. He doesn't understand English, so the road signs wouldn't mean a damn thing to him, right? He made an illegal U-turn, and then as he turned around, he lost control of his car, and he killed 3 people in Florida. And 2.2 million people have signed a change.org petition calling for Governor DeSantis to commute Singh's sentence if he's convicted. This is too, what? So he can drive around and kill some more people? They said it was an accident. It's not an accident when you shouldn't be driving the truck at all. And everybody's upset at Marco Rubio, who froze commercial truck driver visas in the wake of the crash for illegals. Well, gosh, they shouldn't be taking American jobs anyway. That's a little ridiculous. Plus, I don't know if you remember, but there was that town in Ohio where the governor had to send in the National Guard because of the driving problems. I remember seeing a video of a woman last Christmas putting out her waist at the tip of her garage near the sidewalk. All of a sudden, this car comes up on the sidewalk and kills her. I think it was on the day before Christmas, on Christmas Eve or the day before Christmas Eve. And the guy was either Trendiaragua or MS-13 guy. And that's the city in which there was all the dispute about whether they were eating cats. Remember the little town where they were eating cats, or they were allegedly eating cats? Turned out that whether they were eating cats or not, the place was a unbelievable danger, and it had so many traffic accidents and people injured that the state had to come in and straighten it out because it had a disproportionate number of these MS-13 people who couldn't drive. Some of them didn't know how to drive, and the ones who did weren't very careful or good, and they were all given licenses. For some reason, illegals are given driver's licenses and don't have to take tests. You do, I do. They don't. I don't understand this. I mean, I don't understand that at all. And I don't understand why 2.2 million people are worried that this guy might have to spend a little too much time in jail. I mean, 3 people are dead because of him. People have to be held accountable for these things if we're going to cut them down. There's also another incredible situation. I mean, I could go on and on with these, but I point them out when I point out the more aggravated ones because I want to show you that the allegation that this group was this group of, and it isn't. Somebody says 10 million, somebody says 12 million. Has to be over 12 million. Has to be at least 15. I can do the arithmetic for you if you want, but nobody is really adequately counting the people that we never saw that came over the border. They're in the millions. The old formula that was used was that for every known, there was anywhere from 50 to 200% unknown, depending on how tied up the resources were. And the resources were completely tied up. Resources were completely tied up, not stopping illegal immigration, but having the ICE and the Border Patrol act as escorts for all the illegals coming in. And we had no idea who they were because we couldn't do on the most serious, from the most serious countries, a background check. Well, this guy, Raul Enrique Pargas Rodriguez, 31, he fled Venezuela after trying to murder a helpless woman. His crime is on videotape, and he did a version of Russian roulette with her. And luckily, he had to run away before he got a chance to, I guess, he did a couple, and then he ran away. And he got into the United States. This is a guy. This is a guy who was wanted in Venezuela for attempted murder. Remember when Trump said that Venezuela was sending all the criminals in? How many do we have to identify to say, Trump, you're right about that too, and Biden and Mayorkas and all of them were lying to get you killed? He came in on August 10th, 2022. Okay, here's a guy wanted in Venezuela. He's wanted in Venezuela for attempted murder. But we don't know that. So he's quickly released as soon as he comes in, because the Biden administration had no information on him. You know how many people like that? Most of them, if not all of them. The Maduro regime was not sharing any information with the feds. And according to his record from Venezuela that we now have, this dangerous criminal alien allegedly beat, demeaned, and tortured a young woman, and then fled to the U.S., where his attempt to murder her fell apart. So he is now, he was just arrested. He was arrested in Texas. And they're going to send him back. But, I'm sure the groups that represent these people can do everything they can to try to keep him here so he can do Russian roulette in the United States, I guess. It's really beyond imagining what they do. It's very, very interesting because President Macron, Emmanuel Macron of France, who is a real problem in many ways. Like he wants to recognize the Palestinian Authority. He goes back and forth on any number of things. Although he's been very, very steady on Ukraine. And he and the United Kingdom and Germany seem quite willing to supply troops and to supply arms that they'll buy from us and get into Ukraine. The question is, can Ukraine use some of the arms that they have? We'll talk about that in a minute, but Macron, where a lot of people are annoyed with Trump for giving Putin too much time, he says he brings a fundamental advantage against Russia, his unpredictability. He told the Paris Match that after his meeting in Washington, and his meeting with Zelensky as well. He said about Trump, I never make fun of him and I never underestimate him. And about Melania Trump, he said, she has a real role with him. She has a voice that carries weight, particularly on the humanitarian level. It's very interesting. I mean, he's certainly not a Well, I think genuinely the two of them have I don't know about a friendship, but they should certainly, even in the first administration, had a very good working relationship, even though they see the world very differently. That's the remarkable thing about President Trump. He can have a very, very good relationship with people where he sees the world differently. That's really important for an American president because you got to be able to talk to these people. I mean, if you can't talk to them, you get, particularly the way the world is now, you're going to have wars breaking out all the time, like we did with Biden, who didn't talk to anybody. He wasn't capable of talking to people. Right? So I don't know why the Democrats don't take Trump, work with Trump when he's doing something good and oppose him when he's doing something bad, and don't change your position on what's good and bad like you did with the fence. I mean, it's ridiculous to oppose a wall or as a way to keep people from coming into your country or coming into your property. I mean, every one of the people who opposed it when Trump, well, not everyone, but almost all of the major ones who opposed it had originally been in favor of it. The wall didn't change under Trump. Their patriotism wasn't strong enough to support something good for the United States because it might be good for Trump. Well, since Trump tries to make decisions in the best interest of the United States, in many cases, in most cases, unless he makes a really crazy decision, which I guess anybody's capable of, I don't know which one that would be, but he hasn't. But if you just knee-jerk oppose him, you're knee-jerk opposing the United States. He's the president. Now, Victor Davis Hanson had an article in the Post in which he talks about, he writes about something that people I think feel, but they haven't really organized it in as good a way as Victor has. Victor says that there are 4 reasons for the nihilist policies of the Democratic administration. For example, what we just talked about now, even his opponents in Europe, and Merz had been very critical of him, and at different times Macron is, but they all applauded his getting a negotiation started on Ukraine, because Biden couldn't do that, and you have to do that, otherwise you can have an endless war. I mean, how many more people are going to die uselessly? So the uh, Victor basically says that the Democrats uh, object to negotiations by Trump. Well, that has to be negotiated. Or what do they want? Just have the war go on and on and on and on, and people die? I mean, nobody's going to make much progress. The Russians move a few inches. Ukrainians lose a little more land. More Russians die than Ukrainians, but a lot of Ukrainians have died. And they have no alternate plan. Keep fighting and dying with no path to either victory or a negotiated peace. That's an absurd position. It's just a purely negative position. Trump got all of the NATO members now to agree to put to spend 5% of their GDP on defense. Originally, they weren't even willing to spend 2%. And instead of first, the Democrats said he was going to ruin NATO by doing that. Instead, he strengthened it. He made it a much more effective fighting force, a real ally to us. Because if you put the U.S. and the EU together, or NATO, which is almost the equivalent of the EU, we're much bigger than China. Under Biden, 10 million he says 10 million illegals. Victor, I'm sorry, it's more like 15 million illegals came in. Trump has got it down to nothing, and they're attacking him on his immigration policies, and they're trying to bring criminals back. So why are they doing this? They used to support reciprocal tariffs. Now, when he's trying to do reciprocal tariffs, they disagree with him and claim that he's ruining the economy of the world. Foreign governments have put 10 to 15 trillion dollars into the United States. Well, here they haven't said anything, but what are they going to say? Too much investment in the United States? Well, he cites 4 reasons for why they would act this way, which is very puzzling because a lot of these things are just they make no sense. That's why Trump says I exercise common sense. They don't. One, the Biden administration was aimless, corrupt, and unpopular. So that drives them to want to try to make it appear as if the Trump administration is equally as unsuccessful. So that drives them to negative positions, nihilist positions. Number 2, they just plain hate Trump. It's a sickness. I mean, there really is. The Trump derangement syndrome really does exist. And therefore, they're going to oppose him no matter what he does. I think I really believe, what they said, if he came up with a cure to cancer, they'd be against the cure to cancer. They fear that they have no alternative to the Trump record. Because they spend so much time trying to oppose Trump, like in the first administration, trying to get rid of him on trumped up, charges, false charges, frame him, that they don't spend any time on public policy. So they don't have any public policy other than we're against Trump, which ends up, again, with a nihilist position, which is a completely destructive position for anybody in government. And then they don't seem to be able to stop his success. I mean, they can't all be that stupid to not see that he's having tremendous success. When you go from
what we had
7,000 people a week coming into none. When you take the District of Columbia crime numbers down and murder goes down to 0, these things are working. The feared destruction of the economy. On Friday, the market hit a record. So, and it almost appears as if nothing seems to destroy him. So they just keep ratcheting it up. One more, something else crazy. Something, they were hanging on Epstein until Maxwell said the obvious, that Trump had nothing to do with him, that he had gotten rid of him long before. And there is a guy that had a lot to do with him named Bill Clinton. He never came to see Trump in the White House. He and Maxwell, particularly Maxwell, came to see Clinton any number of times.
I think it's very interesting that given, 8 months now into the Trump administration, where clearly things have improved, and yet the opposition still wants to fight against it. I mean, what kind of brainwash, how powerful can a brainwash be to convince such large numbers of American citizens, or at least maybe it's not as large as we think it is. Maybe it's literally that's how corrupt the media is. They absolutely do not represent the people in any way, shape, and form. And yet they have people believing that there are large swaths of people out there, which I guess there are, right? But how can that be? How strong does a brainwash have to be to convince an American society, a portion of the American society, to just keep voting for and promoting ideas and policies that are obviously destructive to the country? It's getting better already after 8 months. What do you have to lose, as Trump originally said? How true was that?
Well, I mean, there are positions they could take that on taxes, on the debt. It's the argument on tariffs is a legitimate argument either way, depending on how you view the use of tariffs. But you can't criticize him for imposing tariffs that you imposed. Like, for example, the tariffs on China, Biden kept them all. So what? They were okay when Biden did it, but not when Trump does it? They're the same tariffs. Now, it is true, Iran, he's put much heavier tariffs on, and it's more than heavier, not just tariffs, but sanctions. But here's another thing that you don't realize. A lot of people don't realize because they don't cover it. It's more than just the additional sanctions that Trump puts on. Biden didn't enforce the sanctions that existed against Iran, which is why it was able to replenish its treasury very quickly after Biden came into office by about $100 billion. And now they've got communists running all over the place as candidates. You look at Mondani, the candidate in New York. There's a guy who is a straight out and out communist. He belongs to the Democratic Socialists of America. He's been a member for about 10 years. He's one of their most prominent members. You got to understand who the Democratic Socialists of America are. They're really a communist party. They just had a big conference in Washington, I believe it was, and most of it was devoted to what has to be done to finally destroy the American family, because it stands in the way of teaching the children the ideology that they need to have in supporting socialism. Well, now where does that come from? They didn't make that up. That's Karl Marx. It's one of his major recommendations in how to take over a government and make it a socialist communist government is to get rid of the parents, get them out of the way, like you get rid of God. The optimum was to see if you can get the children at about 2 years old, which all of a sudden I look at these early education programs now, and I realize what the teachers union was doing, which is a communist union. They want to get those kids really early to turn them against America. The way in Palestine, they get them at not just Hamas, everybody in Palestine is taught to hate Jews, hate Americans in school. It's in the textbooks, given out by the UN, paid for a while by the United States, not under Trump.
Clearly, they're trying to do that.
So the Democrat Socialists of America, as Adam Coleman points out, of African-American writer for the Post, is aggressively anti-family, and so was Mondani. But of course, he's trying to hide that right now. But he'll do the same things that people like Tampon Tim do, where the state is a lot more important in terms of making decisions for children than the parents, including decisions on changing gender, where parents aren't allowed to have a voice in very, very left-wing communist Democrat parties. And make no mistake about it, Walz it seems to me he never properly answered the questions about his very close connection to Red China. 30 visits there. They funded 2 of his businesses. They trained him as soon as he came out of college. Now, he says all of these wonderful things about them, suggested that they should be involved as a moral leveling force in the Israeli Gaza situation. China. Moral leveling force. I mean, they've just wiped out Chinese Communist Party somewhere between 60 and 100 million of their own people. They did a pretty good job with the world with COVID, didn't they? China. I mean, of course it was spread by China deliberately. Now, whether it was planned to do that or do it that way, or there was an accident they're going to take advantage of, it's quite clear that they sent Chinese people all over the world to infect the world, so the world would be on an equal footing with China. China wouldn't be at a disadvantage.
We can
also, among other things, somebody. I mean, this is like a spoiled, rich little sissy boy. Did you say he had trouble? He couldn't lift 135 pounds. Not only couldn't he lift it, he couldn't move it. I mean, a lot of women can lift 135 pounds. What a little sissy boy. And how stupid to not practice before you go there. The guy must have delusions of grandeur. So he sees the weights there. I don't know if he asked or he didn't ask what they were. He gets down there like he's gonna, 135 pounds. Do we have the video of that?
I don't.
We don't. Okay.
No.
Well, we'll play it tomorrow night. You'll get to see it. Now, you should know, and Adam Coleman makes this point in his column, but one of the most recent polls show that the black support for Mondami is 8%. That's pathetic for a Democrat. Absolutely pathetic. Trump has more support than that. But blacks have never been socialists or communists I just think that a silly little rich boy, a silly little white rich boy, is hardly going to be very appealing to New York blacks or any blacks or anybody. He is a spoiled, totally unaccomplished, not terribly smart, which is why he had the other thing that have blacks all upset is he cheated and claimed that he was black in order to try to get into Columbia. He didn't succeed in getting in because he's too stupid. Now, there is a voter realignment going on, and you cannot escape it. Republicans have registered even more voters than the Democrats have lost, but they're almost about the same. Now, in the registered votes, they've gone down from when Joe Biden entered the White House in 2017, in the 30 states that register voters, so you know if they're Republican or Democrat. In 2016, the Democrats had a lead of 10.6. Today, that lead has shrunk to 5.6, cut in half. And that's just the 30 states. That's just the 30 states that register voters. And they tend to be more Democrat states than Republican states. Like, for example, Texas is left out. A pretty big Republican number. But California and New York are in. According to the polls taken on Election Day, in 2024, more people identified as Republicans than Democrats for the first time since the 1930s. The caveat, that's very good news, very bad news for Democrats, for sure. It's good news for Republicans, obviously. But the caveat is that the group that gained the most new voters is independents. And they went up from 30.2% in January of 2021 to 32.5% in 2025. And their increase was greater than Republicans. And they out-registered Republicans even in some of the red states, Alaska, Oklahoma. So the Democrats are in terrible shape. And the Republicans right now haven't taken advantage completely. It looks like they've taken about 50 or 60% advantage of the gap that they have. But they're losing a lot of voters to the independent status, and that's something that really should be analyzed by the Republican Party, because this is an opportunity. I mean, the growth is terrific, but this is an opportunity to really grow, and also to put pressure on the Democrats so that they, for the good of America, to come to the center more. And how about center left rather than center socialist, center communist, center anti-American? I mean, that's the worst part. I mean, I because I've studied communism for so long, I can see it very, very clearly. But even if you can't see it clearly, you've got to see that they hate the country. They're constantly taking positions against the United States. So shall we take a break and
Yes, sir.
And put on the advertisements?
Yeah, we could start right now. You want to tell them?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know, all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're gonna go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at t2t.org. Maybe you can have it. I'm not sure if it's permissive or mandatory. But in any case, it's legal to put off elections during a time of war. Plus, you don't even know what the country is at this point. So, and that's not their business anyway. I mean, Ukraine can organize itself to allow someone to remain in time of war as a president. And they hardly should be complaining since Putin is the president for life. It's ridiculous. But he was on one of the suck your backside network programs on Sunday, and he added that point to the others. The main one, however, is that Putin wants what he can't get by waging war. The estimate from neutral sources is that if Putin were to get the originally what he asked for all the additional regions in the 4 territories where he hasn't been able to take everything. They believe that he'd lose somewhere over 1 million troops trying to do that. It would take about 2 years. If he wanted to, he'd be at war for 2 more years. By that time, his economy would be gone, and he'd be gone. In Russia, man, the Russians don't want to fight this war anymore. He's having to offer them unbelievable bonuses in order to fight the war. And also, the way they fight wars, they just throw bodies in. The number of their soldiers dead compared to the Ukrainian numbers is like, what, 3 to 1, 4 to 1? The Russians just send, I don't know if they sent too many people back to North Korea. Somebody else is helping them now too. There's some other country that they're trying to get people from. But in any event, if we take a look at the map, you can see the region. Let me just get this right here. We'll use this one. So the region that we're talking about, well, actually, you can see it on the little one here, very beautifully. You see that little white part there? Now I covered it in red. That's what they want. They want that. That's the extension of. But it isn't just they want it. And if we do it on this map, it's basically this right here. That city, Kramatorsk, is probably one of the best, and the whole line along here is a very well defended area. And for a year and a half, the Russians have been trying to pierce that, and they can't. And as the estimate said, just that alone, particularly if they tried to go to the outer extension of Donetsk, which would be out there, this would cost them probably, well, the estimate really is 2 million troops to take everything. So this would probably be the worst of it, because that line that I showed you originally is the best defensive line that Ukraine has. And the idea of ceding it to Russia, at least was arguable when Russia was saying that that Ukraine, although they wouldn't agree to Ukraine joining NATO, they could have NATO-like alliance with the West and America. Now they're saying they want veto power over the alliance, which is completely crazy. They need security against Russia, and Russia's going to have veto power over it. Now, who would agree to that? A jackass. They know they're not going to agree to that. That's done. Lavrov, and even the thing he did yesterday on television, is done to throw monkey wrenches in, because they want to continue. They want to continue to chip away. And what they have, the place where they've made gains in this short period that has existed, the place they've made gains is right here. Right there. They may have taken that city already. They certainly have taken that whole area right over there. And I think they probably have taken that city. The city is not part, well, it is actually, but it's a very small part of that major defense, because that defense goes through here. These are the cities that they want. Those two. But they're not going to get them, God willing. Otherwise, they can just walk right in. They can just walk right into. They can walk right into Ukraine. So this is sort of how it all came about, right? When they originally invaded, they had taken all of Luhansk. Or 99.9%, 59.5% of Donetsk, 71.8% of Zaporizhia, and 92% of Kherson. So as you can see on that map, right from the beginning, there were little portions that Ukraine kept. Now, Ukraine has actually improved a little from that situation. They've lost some in Donetsk, but they've made a slight gain in Zaporizhia, and they've made a slight gain in Kherson. And that's the way it looks now. Well, actually, it's here, right here. That's what it looks like now. And these are the areas that Ukraine does not have. Now, the area up on the top there, that's Donetsk. That's the very well defended area. All of them, however, all of that area there is very, very rich in the kind of minerals that we're very interested in, and that's part of our agreement with Ukraine. Minerals that China has attempted to have a monopoly on, but we're doing everything we can to make ourselves independent of China. This would be a big part of it. So it's in our interest to make sure that he gets as little of this additional as possible. In fact, I mean, he shouldn't get anything additional. He should give something back. And what that leads to is it's time to get tough. it is actually it is time to hit them with incredible secondary sanctions. So basically, you cut off as much as possible the ability of Russia to sell oil to anyone, and they are a one trick pony. I mean, they're basically oil. That's it, and we're putting pretty good pressure on it right now. But I mean, we could just destroy it. We could make it impossible for them to use the world banking resources completely. We could also impose enormous tariffs on them, in addition to sanctions. This all has to be done. It's the only way you're going to convince Putin. He's not the guy is a professional pathological killer, and the only thing he understands is getting punched in the nose, and he does understand that. He understands that we're a lot more powerful than he is. He understands that that basically we have all the cards. There is an interview that I suggest you go back on Saturday to the Wall Street Journal and you read it with Stephen Kotkin. Stephen Kotkin is a great historian. He's the author of it's going to be a 3-volume biography of Joseph Stalin, who appears to be Putin's hero. So this is a legitimate Russian historian. And in the interview with the Wall Street Journal, he basically says that the stereotype of Donald Trump as a puppet of Vladimir Putin is plainly nonsensical. Problem is he's been far from consistent in his approach. According to Stephen Kotkin, nobody can do more damage to Putin than President Trump. Putin is actually afraid of Trump. Trump is the only one who could hurt Putin in a big way. And then he goes on in the article to point out what Trump could do. And the title of the article is, "With Putin, ultimately, Trump holds the cards." Question is, he's got to play them. And the cards are economic. He can choke him economically. Hard to accept it if you're American because, you think we're bragging or whatever. Economically, we could choke anybody, including China. Our economy is so much bigger, so much more diverse, so much more, the rest of the world is so much more dependent on it. I mean, the Chinese market, which, gets everybody all excited, is nothing compared to the American. Sure, there are more people, but we spend a hell of a lot more money. And we have a lot more money, a lot more than twice as much as they have. So that's why all these tariff things are working so well. You don't want to cross the U.S. economically. They can do as much damage to you economically as they can do militarily. And it's time to do it.
No.
With Putin. And that's the only way we're going to get him to the bargaining table. Well, I want you to now go over to Lindell TV and watch Dr. Maria. Her show is on. We went into it a little bit because there was just so much to cover tonight. We didn't cover even all of it, but I think we covered the main ones that we want you to know about and to think about. And we'll be back tomorrow at 7 o'clock on Lindell TV and at 8 o'clock on X right here, and the other stations that we're on. We're on a lot of different stations, and I just before we go, I want to show you two things from Dover, New Hampshire. This is our rainbow today. That was right. I took that maybe 10 minutes before the show started.
Yeah,
the earlier show.
We were just getting ready for the show, and we had a downpour outside, a sun shower, a heavy downpour, and then we looked out the back, and there was a rainbow that literally landed right in the middle of the field.
Yeah, you can see it right there.
And you could see how it's obscuring the trees behind it.
Put it up. See, it's in front of the trees. You can see that right in front of, you can see, it's hard to, I don't know if you can see it on that version, but I can
I'm
see it
seeing
quite
it.
clearly right in front of the trees. It then went behind the trees.
And then later it went behind the trees. Yeah, it was really strange. It's like Mother Nature has got a lot of tricks up her sleeve.
Also, today was the day that the mallards, shall we take that off?
We could.
Because
All right.
the mallards were out this morning, and they're getting ready. They're getting ready to go to Florida like we are pretty soon, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. We're going to follow them. There they are. We'll play that, and we'll. There are the mallards.
Oh, look at them.
There they are. Those are the mallard ducks, and they're going to be heading off. I don't know if they go all the way down to Florida, but they go south. Probably, I'm told that in the next couple of days, that group is going to get much, much bigger. Actually, right before I took that, a group had flown off, but I think they were just practicing. They came back. I don't think they're making the big trip yet, but pretty soon they're going to make the big trip. It's kind of interesting for me, having grown up in New York, to see so much nature, but I love it. Maybe because it's kind of new. Look at them. Wow.
And how about when we were driving through the town of Dover yesterday? That was another amazing.
Yeah, we'll show you that too.
Yeah.
But isn't that beautiful? I mean, they're beautiful animals. Well, pray really hard for the people of Ukraine, the people of Israel, and the people of Iran. Pray for us, United States, and our president, our great president, who's got the weight of the world on his shoulders, and he seems to handle it so well. Brilliant press conference today. Brilliant. Particularly with the thing we covered on the other show, actually, the executive orders on cashless bail and the executive order on a 1-year penalty for burning the American flag. About time. About time. So with that, we'll see you tomorrow. God bless America.
We'll run some Rudy coffee for you.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans. No Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given common sense. So let's do it.